Hi there, welcome to Colin's Reading Aloud Project, part 129, another 1,000 words starting now. Incommutably, incompact, incomparability, incomparable, incomparably, incompared, incompatibility, incompatible, incompatibles, incompatibly, incompetence, incompetences, incompetencies, incompetency, incompetent, incompetently, incompetence, incomplete, incompletely, incompleteness, incompletion, incompletions, incompliance, incompliances, incompliancies, incompliancy, incompliant, incompliantly, incomposed, incomposite, incompossible, incomprehension, incomprehensive, incompressible, incompressibly, incomputability, incomputable, incomputably, incommunicado, inconceivable, inconceivables, inconceivably, inconsiниties, inconsinity, inconsinus, inconclusion, inconclusions, inconclusive, inconclusively, incondensable, incondensible, incondite, inconditely, inconformities, inconformity, incongruence, incongruences, incongruent, incongruently, incongruities, incongruity, incongruous, incongruously, incongruousness, inconi, inconu, inconu, inconus, inconus, inconscient, inconsciently, inconscionable, inconscious, inconsecutive, inconsecutively, inconsequence, inconsequences, inconsequent, inconsequential, inconsequently, inconsiderable, inconsiderably, inconsiderate, inconsiderately, inconsideration, inconsistence, inconsistencies, inconsistencies, inconsistency, inconsistent, inconsistently, inconsolability, inconsolable, inconsolably, inconsonance, inconsonances, inconsonant, inconsonantly, inconspicuous, inconspicuously, inconstancies, inconstancy, inconstant, inconstantly, inconstruable, inconsumable, inconsumably, incontestable, incontestably, incontiguous, incontiguously, incontinence, incontinences, incontinencies, incontinency, incontinent, incontinently, incontrollable, incontrollably, inconvenience, inconvenienced, inconveniences, inconveniencies, inconveniencing, inconveniency, inconvenient, inconveniently, inconversable, inconversant, inconvertible, inconvertibly, inconvincible, inconvincibly, inconi, incoordinate, incoordination, incoordinations, incoronate, incoronated, incoronation, incoronations, incorporable, incorporal, incorporal, incorporate, incorporated, incorporate, incorporates, incorporating, incorporation, incorporations, incorporative, incorporator, incorporators, incorporeal, incorporeality, incorporeally, incorporeate, incorporeities, incorporeity, incorpse, incorpsed, incorpses, incorpsing, incorrect, incorrectly, incorrectness, incorrectnesses, incorrigibility, incorrigible, incorrigibles, incorrigibly, incorrodible, incorrosible, incorrupt, incorrupted, incorruptible, incorruptibles, incorruptibly, incorruption, incorruptions, incorruptive, incorruptly, incorruptness, incorruptnesses, incrassate, incrassated, incrassates, incrassating, incrassation, incrassations, incrassative, incrassatives, increasable, increase, increased, increasedly, increaseful, increaser, increasers, increases, increasing, increasingly, increasings, increate, increately, incredibilities, incredibility, incredible, incredibleness, incredibly, incredulities, incredulity, incredulous, incredulously, incredulousness, incremate, incremated, incremates, incremating, incremation, incremations, increment, incremental, incrementalism, incrementalisms, incrementalist, incrementalists, incrementally, incrementals, incremented, incrementing, increments, increscent, incretion, incretionary, incretions, incretary, incriminate, incriminated, incriminates, incriminating, incrimination, incriminations, incriminator, incriminators, incriminatory, incross, incrossbred, incrossbreds, incrossbreed, incrossbreeding, incrossbreeds, incrossed, incrosses, incrossing, incrust, incrustant, incrustants, incrustation, incrustations, encrusted, encrusting, encrustment, encrustments, incrusts, incubate, incubated, incubates, incubating, incubation, incubational, incubations, incubative, incubator, incubators, incubatory, incubi, incubus, incubus, incubuses, incudal, incudate, incudes, inculcate, inculcated, inculcates, inculcating, inculcation, inculcations, inculcative, inculcator, inculcators, inculcatory, inculpabilities, inculpability, inculpable, inculpableness, inculpably, inculpate, inculpated, inculpates, inculpating, inculpation, inculpations, inculpative, inculpatory, incult, incumbencies, incumbency, incumbent, incumbently, incumbents, encumber, encumbered, encumbering, encumberingly, encumbers, encumbrance, encumbrancer, encumbrances, encumbrances, incunable, incunables, incunabula, incunabular, incunabulist, incunabulists, incunabulum, incur, incurabilities, incurabilities, incurability, incurable, incurableness, incurablenesses, incurables, incurably, incuriosities, incuriosity, incurious, incuriously, incuriousness, incuriousnesses, incurable, incurred, incurrence, incurrences, incurrent, incurring, incurs, incursion, incursions, incursive, incurvate, incurvated, incurvates, incurvating, incurvation, incurvations, incurvature, incurvatures, incurve, incurved, incurves, incurving, incurvities, incurvity, incus, incuse, incused, incuses, incusing, incut, incuts, indaba, indabas, indagate, indagated, indagates, indagating, indagation, indagations, indicative, indigator, indigators, indigatory, indamin, indamine, indamines, indamins, indapamide, indapamides, indart, indarted, indarting, indarts, indebted, indebtedness, indebtednesses, indecencies, indecency, indecent, indecenter, indecentest, indecently, indeciduate, indeciduous, indecipherable, indecipherably, indecision, indecisions, indecisive, indecisively, indecisiveness, indeclinable, indeclinably, indecomposable, indecorous, indecorously, indecorousness, indecorum, indecorums, indeed, indeedy, indefatigable, indefatigably, indefeasibility, indefeasible, indefeasibly, indefectibility, indefectible, indefectibly, indefensibility, indefensible, indefensibly, indefinability, indefinable, indefinableness, indefinables, indefinably, indefinite, indefinitely, indefiniteness, indefinites, indehiscence, indehiscences, indehiscent, indelibilities, indelibility, indelible, indelibleness, indeliblenesses, indelibly, indelicacies, indelicacy, indelicate, indelicately, indelicateness, indemnification, indemnified, indemnifier, indemnifiers, indemnifies, indemnify, indemnifying, indemnities, indemnity, indemonstrable, indemonstrably, indene, indenes, indent, indentation, indentations, indented, indenter, indenters, indenting, indention, indentions, indentor, indentors, indents, indenture, indentured, indentures, indentureship, indentureships, indenturing, independence, independences, independencies, independency, independent, independently, independence, indescribable, indescribables, indescribably, indesignate, indestructible, indestructibly, indetectable, indetectable, indeterminable, indeterminably, indeterminacies, indeterminacy, indeterminate, indeterminately, indetermination, indetermined, indeterminism, indeterminisms, indeterminist, indeterministic, indeterminists, indevout, indue, endued, enduing, indues, index, indexable, indexal, indexation, indexations, indexed, indexer, indexers, indexes, indexical, indexicals, indexing, indexings, indexless, indexterities, indexterity, indextrous, India, Indias, indican, indicans, indicant, indicants, indicatable, indicate, indicated, indicates, indicating, indication, indicational, indications, indicative, indicatively, indicatives, indicator, indicators, indicatory, indices, indicia, indicial, indicias, indicium, indiciums, indicolite, indicolites, indict, indictable, inditably, indicted, indictee, indictees, inditer, inditers, indicting, indiction, indictional, indictions, indictment, indictments, inditor, inditors, indites, indies, indifference, indifferences, indifferencies, indifferency, indifferent, indifferentism, indifferentisms, indifferentist, indifferentists, indifferently, indifference, indigen, indigence, indigences, indigencies, indigency, indigene, indigenes, indigenization, indigenizations, indigenize, indigenized, indigenizes, indigenizing, indigenities, indigenity, indigenization, indigenizations, indigenize, indigenized, indigenizes, indigenizing, indigenous, indigenously, indigenousness, indigens, indigent, indigently, indigents, indigest, indigested, indigestibility, indigestible, indigestibles, indigestibly, indigesting, indigestion, indigestions, indigestive, indigests, indine, indignants, indignances, indignant, indignantly, indignation, indignations, indignified, indignifies, indignify, indignifying, indignities, indignity, indignely, indigo, indigos, indigoid, indigoids, indigolite, indigolites, indigos, indigotic, indigotin, indigotins, indinavir, indinavirs, indirect, indirection, indirections, indirectly, indirectness, indirectnesses, indirubin, indirubins, indiscernible, indiscernibly, indiscernible, indisciplinable, indiscipline, indisciplined, indisciplines, indiscoverable, indiscreet, indiscreetly, indiscreetness, indiscreet, indiscreetly, indiscreetness, indiscretion, indiscretionary, indiscretions, indiscriminate, indispensable, indispensably, indispensables, indispensably, indispose, indisposed, indisposedness, indisposes, indisposing, indisposition, indispositions, indisputability, indisputable, indisputably, indissociable, indissociably, indissolubility, indissoluble, indissolubly, indissolvable, indissuadable, indissuadably, indistinct, indistinction, indistinctions, indistinctive, indistinctively, indistinctly, indistinctness, indistributable, indict, indicted, indictment, indictments, inditer, inditers, indites, inditing, indium, indiums, indivertible, indivertibly, individable, individua, individual, individualize, individualized, individualizer, individualizers, individualizes, individualizing, individualism, individualisms, individualist, individualistic, individualists, individualities, individuality, individualize, individualized, individualizer, individualizers, individualizes, individualizing, individually, individuals, individuate, individuated, individuates, individuating, individuation, individuations, individuator, individuators, individuum, indivisibility, indivisible, indivisibleness, indivisibles, indivisibly, indocible, indocile, indocilities, indocility, indoctrinate, indoctrinated, indoctrinates, indoctrinating, indoctrination, indoctrinations, indoctrinator, indoctrinators, indolacetic, indolibutyric, indolibutyric, indolence, indolences, indolencies, indolency, indolent, indolently, indoles, indomethacin, indomethacins, indomethacins, indomitability, indomitable, indomitableness, indomitably, indoors, indophenol, indophenols, endorsable, endorsation, endorsations, endorse, endorsed, endorsee, endorsees, endorsement, endorsements, endorser, endorsers, endorses, endorsing, endorsor, endorsors, endow, endowed, endowing, endows, endoxil, endoxils, endraft, endrafts, endraft, endrafts, endrawn, endrench, endrenched, endrenches, endrenching, indri, indries, indreases, indubious, indubitability, indubitable, indubitableness, indubitably, induce, induced, inducement, inducements, inducer, inducers, induces, inducii, inducibilities, inducibility, inducible, inducing, induct, inductance, inductances, inducted, inductee, inductees, inductile, inductilities, inductility, inducting, induction, inductional, inductions, inductive, inductively, inductiveness, inductivenesses, inductivities, inductivity, inductor, inductors, inducts, indue, endued, indues, enduing, indulge, indulged, indulgence, indulgenced, indulgences, indulgencies, indulgencing, indulgency, indulgent, indulgently, indulger, indulgers, indulges, indulging, indulgingly, indulin, induline, indulines, indulins, indult, indults, indumenta, indumentum, indumentums, induner, induners, induplicate, induplicated, induplication, induplications, indurate, indurated, indurates, indurating, induration, indurations, indurative, indusia, indusial, indusiate, indusium, industrial, industrialise, industrialised, industrialises, industrialising, industrialism, industrialisms, industrialist, industrialists, industrialise, industrialised, industrialises, industrialising, industrially, industrials, industries, industrious, industriously, industriousness, industry, industry-wide, induvii, induvial, induviate, indwell, indweller, indwellers, indwelling, indwellings, indwells, indwelt, inearth, inearthed, inearthing, inearths, inebriant, inebriants, inebriate, inebriated, inebriates, inebriating, inebriation, inebriations, inebrieties, inebriety, inebrious, inedibility, inedibilities, inedibility, inedible, inedibly, ineditor, inedited, ineducated,